bribery allegation. Congresswoman Nancy Mace says there's damning evidence in the FBI file that you sold out the country. Do you have a response to the congressional Republicans?
Where's the money? I'm joking.
Mr. President,
it's a bunch of malarkey.
That's a bunch of malarkey. That's the President of the United States. He's not a very bright man. We all know that. He was asked a serious question, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, talking about you taking $5 million from a Ukrainian gas tycoon, and he quips, "Where's the money?" Then he took the Marine One helicopter back to his $5 million waterfront home in Delaware, not to be confused with his other homes, on his, what did a senator or vice president make? About $200,000 a year. How many $5 million houses can you buy on a $189,000 a year, or whatever it is? Joe Biden. Well, happy Friday to you, and welcome. Welcome back. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. 888-630-9625 is our telephone number. That's absolutely toll-free to you, our beloved listeners. And, boy, we were just talking about the rebellion going on at a middle school in Burlington, Massachusetts, and about the fact that the children rose up and said, we don't want to, be indoctrinated with the rainbow flags and the rainbow stickers and the rainbow clothing. Wolverines! And it turns out, Little Red Dawn, and it turns out that that the school in question, the middle school in question in Burlington, Massachusetts, they forgot Memorial Day. They forgot to mention Memorial Day. They did nothing to observe Memorial Day for the kids, and the kids showed up instead of with their rainbow garb, as they were told to do, with red, white, and blue clothing, and some of them with red, white, and blue face paint, like they're going to a USA hockey game, which is fun. And now they're in big trouble, and they're the villains of the story, because if you're on the side of the United States of America and not the LGBTQ indoctrination of 10-year-old children, then you're the villain of the story, because the Democrat Party, that's the thing with that. Yeah, but an amazing story. And also I talked about how, they have the rainbow flag, the gay pride flag, in all the schools and on all the government buildings, and the transgender flag on buildings all over Washington, D.C., and on embassies all over the world. They've had the rainbow flag, U.S. embassies around the world. And at the Vatican, right, and at the Vatican. Yeah. Do they fly it in Saudi Arabia, at the U.S. embassy in Saudi Arabia? Probably not. But it turns out, I had said, well, now that we've done this, the Democrats have normalized this, right? As it's a political flag. It's a sexual movement, a gay, sexual, homosexual movement. And it's targeting the children in schools all over the country. So I said, well, why don't we have a, pro-life month and have the pro-life flag? And I said, of course, I'm going to have to create a pro-life flag. But my friend Tim, who is a better Catholic than I am, sent me the pro-life flag, because a pro-life flag has already been created, as a matter of fact. And the movement, it's a wonderful flag. It's red, white, and blue. And it has it's a white field with a broad red stripe and a broad blue stripe, and then a circle in the middle with one red foot and one blue footprint of a newborn baby, right? Pro-life movement has a new pro-life flag. This from 2021 and July 26th, so almost 2 years ago, the new pro-life flag was created. And so I think that Christian groups, and you may not be Christian, you may just be pro-life without being religious, I think that parents need to say, okay, now we're going to have pro-life month. And let's pick a random month when the kids are in school. November. November every year is going to be pro-life month. And I want the pro-life flags and banners on all the government buildings all over Hamtramck and Orange County and Washington, D.C., and in every school across America. The pro-life flag must be flown, and kids they can wear red, white, and blue, because those are the colors of the pro-life flag as well. Pro-life flag project, it's official. Flag F won the vote. They had a competition to see which flag should become the pro-life flag in 2021. And this one won, and I think we should post the pro-life flag. And we've got to have pro-life month in every school, and the pro-life flag on every government building in every community across America for a month, right? Do you think there are more pro-life Americans or more LGBTQIA plus Americans? And regardless, I refuse to accept the tyranny of the majority. Not that a majority of us are LGBTQIA, but nonetheless, nobody cares. Nobody's cared for about 50 years, whether you're gay. There are like two guys somewhere that make jokes about it. Get over it, okay? Honestly, just get over it. And if you're transgender, you are 1/3 as likely to be murdered in the United States than that compared to the general population. General population 3 times as likely to be murdered as transgender people. But they're going to go and they're telling us there's a transgender genocide. And by the way, almost all transgender people that are murdered by people they know, very, very often by people they have sexual relationships with, very often while there is an act of prostitution going on. And surprise, woohoo, things like that going on. So we have the pro-life flag, and it's prolifeflag.com. You can go to Pro-Life Flag. They got their own website on Al Gore's amazing internet. Democrats haven't banned it yet, but they might. So we got to do that. All right, now we got the corrupt Biden family to get to as well. And the city of Hamtramck, Michigan, banning the display of rainbow flags and transgender flags on government buildings in the city of Hamtramck. With the all-Muslim city council and the Muslim mayor, they've done away with that. And Orange County, California, no Muslims to be found. They've also banned the display of the rainbow and transgender flag on government buildings there. All right? Now, if you suggested, honestly, and I think people should, a movement should be underway already to have pro-life month in schools. They're children. Children should be pro-life. But, the Democrats, they get the children to come out and march for death. They do. Remember, what was his name from Covington Catholic School? Nick Sandman, who was here for the March for Life, and he was wearing a MAGA hat when Chief Cheekbones came up and pounded the drum in front of his face on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. And Nick Sandman became the villain of the story because he's pro-life and he had a Trump Make America Great Again hat. They don't want to make America great again. They don't think America was ever great in the first place, and they want to destroy America. So that's why they're, not on the same page as Nick Sandman. But never minding that. I hope he got hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars from the crooked networks that slandered him the way that they did. But the Democrats, they get children. They break them out of school to go do pro-abortion rallies because, kids love abortion like black people love slavery. Blacks for slavery, kids for abortion. Makes a lot of sense. But that's your Democrat Party. Now let's get to the corrupt Biden family, because there's a lot to say about all this. You want to get to Congressman Comer first? You think that's the way to go, Michael? Perhaps Congressman Comer first. Let's go to we'll get let's do Biden first. Let's do soundbite number 1. Here's a reporter. This is a reporter, I believe, with the New York Post, asking a question of Lunch Bucket Joe yesterday. The Ukrainian informant, the top secret informant. The file refers to him as the big guy. You remember Joe Biden was referred to as the big guy, and Tony Bobulinski told us about this too, because the Biden family has, he's the 10% cut for the big guy for the China business, and that's Joe Biden, according to Tony Bobulinski, who was the president of one of the Biden family's companies. We still don't know what business they're in, but they have a whole lot of different companies. And yesterday, Joe Biden was asked, say, wait a minute, you were known as big guy. We found in the laptop, and Tony Bobulinski confirmed that on the Chinese crooked Biden family business deals for not providing any visible or identifiable service or product, they're shoveling millions of dollars at the Biden family. And this is all okay with 60 Minutes and the New York Times, because they're not journalists, they're fluffers. So the reporter asked him yesterday, hey, wait a minute, the Ukrainian file, it turns out the owner of Burisma also refers to you as the big guy.
Why did the Ukraine FBI informant file refer to you as the big guy? Why is that term particularly applied? Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Why did I ask such a dumb question?
I'm sorry, why would you ask such a dumb question? And then the band there started playing Deutschland über alles, which I thought was a little weird. And then Joe Biden was asked another question. This is a Fox News reporter. What's her name?
I'm not sure. This is a different one in the hallway.
And asked Joe Biden about taking bribes. Hey, all these stories and documentation, members of Congress and the Oversight Committee talking about you taking bribes, and he completely blows off the question.
Are there tapes that you accepted bribes, President Biden? Is that true?
He just turns his pretty head and walks away. All right? You just turn your pretty head and walk away. All right, so Joe Biden snaps at Post reporter, New York Post reporter, when asked about big guy reference. Why do you ask such a dumb question, is his response. President Biden lashed out Thursday when asked why he's called the big guy in an FBI informant file accusing him of accepting a $5 million bribe from a Ukrainian businessman while he was vice president of the United States. And why do you ask such a dumb question? And that's all you got to do when you're a Democrat because, Deutschland über alles. Remember Benito Mussolini's definition of fascism as a merger of state and corporate power. Look at the state and the corporate media, and let's go knock on Mussolini's grave and see what he thinks about today. Congressman James Comer is a Republican. He's the chair of the House Oversight Committee, and he was on yesterday on the Fox News Channel with Maria Bartiromo, with a wonderful Italian name. Maria Bartiromo talking to James Comer about this very subject and the 17 recordings and the millions of dollars coming from the owner of Burisma and Hunter Biden's no-show job and his friend Devin Archer's no-show job. Devin Archer is fighting efforts by the Republicans in Congress to make him appear before a committee under oath to tell what he knows. But he's fighting it. Maybe he's too busy fighting that, stealing tens of millions of dollars from a Native American tribe. That might be the issue. James Comer and Maria Bartiromo yesterday.
What the oligarch told the FBI informant was that they had 17 recordings, 2 of President Joe Biden, the others of his son, accepting bribes and talking about the terms of the bribe. This is a very serious allegation, and one thing that I know for sure, Maria, is the FBI never did one single thing to investigate this.
I wonder if the FBI is aspiring to be more corrupt than the news media. Extraordinary. FBI agents need to gather by the thousands in front of the FBI headquarters in Washington and demand that people be held accountable. Comer talking about Biden, the big guy, and the millions.
The oligarch also referred to Joe Biden as the big guy. Now, Maria, this is years before anyone else knew about the term big guy, and this is years before my committee unveiled the fact that the Bidens had all these shell companies and were laundering money through 6 different American banks. So this information no one would have known about.
Now, you got to remember that Joe Biden was referred to as the big guy on Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop. The 10% due to big guy, that's Joe Biden, according to Tony Bobulinski, who was just president of the company. In business deal with CEFC, a Chinese communist-run energy company. Congressman Comer.
What my sources in the FBI tell me is that whether it's the FBI, the DOJ, or the IRS, anything pertaining to Joe Biden or his family, they were told to stand down.
Stand down. The FBI is told to stand down by, by the machine, by the. The Democrat Party in the machine. It's the permanent bureaucracy, and they're in the tank for one political party. That's the auto-corrupt button for the entire United States government. Then see the letter signed by 51 intelligence people. Look at the FBI and the CIA tampering in presidential election, after presidential election, and midterm elections. The out to get Trump, J. Edgar Comey. You think he's a cross-dresser? It's hard to say. Where would he find ladies' clothes in his size? Maybe have to steal luggage at the airport like that other Biden administration official. God, it's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? You think he's in touch with the kiddie porn Democrat mayor of College Park, Maryland? And is he still in the can, that guy? Or did he get out? Is he on the loose? Hey, breaking news for all my fellow Americans. Joe Biden's dangerous plan to force Americans into a digital dollar goes live in just a matter of weeks. No matter what they tell you, don't believe them. It's not something that's going to help you or any of us. If you don't take action today, it may be too late. The Federal Reserve will be deployed in phases, with the initial launch taking place July 1st of 2023, coming right up. It's called Fed Now, and a whole lot of us Americans are going to be taken completely off guard by this. Everything you've ever worked for is at stake, but there is one way for us to legally opt out of the digital dollar before it's too late. Call my friends at American Alternative Assets to get your free wealth protection guide. This guide will educate you on how to protect yourself from the failing dollar, the volatile stock markets, with gold and silver IRAs. So call today, 888, the number 4-GOLD-20, 888-4-GOLD-20. That's 888-446-5360. Don't let Biden force you to use the government's new digital dollar. Call 888, the number 4-GOLD-20. Call right now, 888-446-5360. Individual results may vary. There's no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Seek your own legal, tax, investment, and financial advice before opening an account. Yeah. And I've got more of Comer and Bartiromo coming right up on the organized crime family known as the Biden family. Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. All right, let's get to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Marco calling from Springfield, Virginia. Marco, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
Hey, I want to add one more flag to your flag collection there. How about heterosexual Pride Month flag? Number one. Number two is, as a vet, I am totally insulted that the Pride people get a whole month and we get 1 day. So I love your suggestions, but I also want to relay an interesting event that happened to me from our Bourbon Boulevard get-together where I met Jasmine, a very, very nice person. A friend of mine, a neighbor, is a Cuban-American, and his daughter graduated from college, and he had a get-together this past weekend. And everybody there was Cuban-American, including me and the missus and a few others, and we had a great time. But I met a couple that was standing right in front of me in line to meet you at Bourbon Boulevard, and we kind of looked at each other like, hey, I know you from somewhere. We couldn't figure out what it was, but then finally when we started talking, they listened to your show, and I said, oh, my God, I think I know you from the Chris Plant event. And I want to tell you that the Cuban-American people that were at this get-together this past weekend, they all listen to you, and they all love you.
Muy excelente. That's just wonderful. That's a very nice story. Thank you, Marco. Bum. Yeah, and Eric Swalwell, is he still having sex with the Chinese intelligence agent named Fang? Or did they stop having sex? You think someone should ask that? Think the Republicans should hold anybody accountable on Capitol Hill? They failed to hold Adam Schiff responsible for lying and undermining the president and all of that. It's the evil party and the stupid party in a nutshell right there. Got Eric Swalwell, Chinese secret agent Fang. Of course, Joe Biden's family is on the Chinese communists' payroll too, only if you believe the documents and the bank records and the president of the Biden company named Tony Bobulinski, and only if you're paying attention. Amazing stuff. We got, before I get back to Joe Biden, I want to get back to Joe Biden and to Congressman James Comer laying out the tens of millions going to the corrupt Biden family in exchange for, political gifts and taking care of them, I'm talking about. But there is a Democrat who was a professor at Penn State University, and he's a Greek guy, apparently a Greek-American guy. His name is Themis Matsoukas. And, we love Greece, my best girl and I. Greece, one of our favorite countries. Greeks are a ton of fun. This guy's got issues. Let me just say this. Of course, in Chicago, they had Greektown and the great restaurant Diana's at Greektown, and I used to go there a lot as a kid. And they used to say in Greektown, if you drop your keys, you should kick them all the way to your car. Kick them all the way to get to your car. Because if you don't get that, I'm not sure I can explain it here. So here it is, Penn State, the New York Post, Penn State professor Themis Matsoukas, accused of performing sexual acts with his dog. And then they've got a quote here in the headline, quote, "I do it to blow off steam." I do it to blow off steam. He said he wants to blow off steam. And they read a long-time and award-winning Penn State professor allegedly performed sexual acts with his dog in sickening displays that were captured in a state forest trail camera. Boy, there are cameras everywhere, aren't there? He's out in a state forest, and he thinks, okay, it'll be safe to sexually assault my collie here. But then it turns out he had his iPad with him, and he was trying to make videos of himself doing it, too, because he's a Democrat. Themis Matsoukas, 64 years old, was charged after he was allegedly caught earlier this year naked from the waist down except for his socks and shoes. Always a good look. All right, I'll just let you come up with the picture yourself. Committing the perverted sex acts with his collie near bathrooms at Rock State Forest in Pennsylvania, according to multiple reports. Matsoukas, who is on leave from the university, was identified by way of his North Face backpack. Didn't North Face just go with a big LGBTQ thing also? You think there's an organization in America called ALL. It's the Animal Lovers League, and they believe it should be okay for you to, the rest writes itself, right? So he was identified by his North Face backpack that he was carrying during an incident, one in April and then one in May, and they caught him. He keeps going back to the same place. He's got a pattern. According to a criminal complaint cited by the Center Valley Times. Local news media covering it first, of course. He allegedly tried to record himself performing the lewd acts with his electronic tablet. His tablet. They don't want to do an advertisement for Apple and iPad there, but we all know. And according to trail cam footage, Fox 43 reported, after Matsoukas was identified as the possible suspect, rangers from the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, sure, naturally, who else would show up for this, searched his home earlier this month, and he went into a panic. You can imagine he probably would go into a panic, so he went into a panic. Here's a picture of the entrance to Rock State Park. Looks very nice and green and lush, but leave your collie alone. At one point, investigators told him that they thought he knew why they were there and searching his home, leading Matsoukas to reply repeatedly, "I'm done. I'm dead." That's what he kept saying. He kept saying, "I'm done. I'm dead." So apparently he did know why they were there. And now he's on leave as a professor at the university. He also begged the rangers to shoot him. He said, "I need to die." I can see having that instinct, that thought occurring to you right then. Additionally, he told investigators, "I do it to blow off steam." Investigators later learned that his collie is named Steam. So that's kind of a weird thing there. But they also discovered that he's an enthusiastic Democrat, and college professor who's been spending years influencing the next generation because, Democrats. That is pretty crazy. I've got a story I could tell because I know someone in Washington, D.C., a woman, I shouldn't even tell this, who lived in a $1 million, $2 million beautiful apartment in Washington, D.C., came home and found her husband and the dog, and suffice to say, they're not married anymore. They were big-time Democrats, the both of them, definitely big-time Democrats. We've got I want to get to the Good Morning America thing, but not right now. We've got to get to Good Morning America reporting from San Francisco. Kind of funny, kind of tragic, and kind of funny at the same time. The Democrats, they have a real knack for making the tragic funny, don't they? Well, maybe that's me. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it's them. Maybe it's me. All right, let's get back to Congressman James Comer, who is talking about the Democrats, and they're all in denial. In fact, we got what's his name? Fang Fang's boyfriend. He's talking about how really, there's nothing wrong with Joe Biden. There's nothing to see here. But let's get to Congressman Comer first. Number 6, soundbite number 6. Congressman James Comer talking about MSDNC and your left-wing media.
Then you have the liberal media like MSNBC with their low IQ audience that are sitting there, and they're being told bad things about me and members of the oversight committee because we have the audacity to investigate. So we're having to go against a hostile media, a media that's turned a blind eye.
Boy, have they turned a blind eye. They've turned 2 blind eyes. They've got like a kidnap bag over their head. Also, I didn't mention the guy, the professor from the Pennsylvania. He they found he was wearing a ski mask because he didn't want his dog to know it was him. He was there. They found the ski mask at his house too, that he was wearing in the video on the hiking trail, because he's a professor at Rothrock State Forest. Yeah, Lassie no come home. Lassie doesn't want to come home anymore. That's hey professor, what do you say? Just got back from the audit of Faye. All right, let's go back to James Comer, soundbite number 7, and he's talking about the dim-witted people, the low IQ audience at MSDNC, which I think is a lot of fun, and he should do. I think all Republicans should do a lot more of that. Should start playing more by the Democrat rules and just butcher these lunatics every time you talk to them. And every time a CNN, who did it? The Speaker of the entire House of Representatives did it last week, Kevin McCarthy, had a CNN reporter asking him questions, and he's like, aren't you the people that hired Andrew McCabe, the crooked FBI guy, and just went after CNN again and again? And that is a perfect response, because they were just there to get a soundbite that they could use against him. They weren't there to cover the news, just to get a soundbite they could use against him. All right, here is James Comer again on what they've been finding along the way.
My investigation is about following the money. We're going to continue to follow the money. And Maria, I can assure you there's more money that we're going to be able to identify that was transferred between foreign nationals in other countries and the Biden family. This is going to be hard for Joe Biden to explain, and it's not going to go away. This is going to be an issue. And I think eventually the mainstream media will turn on Joe Biden and start asking the real questions. What did your family do to receive all this money?
Hey, wait a minute. What did your family do to receive all this money? He's going to say, what money? And then fly to his $5 million waterfront house. And the New York Times is going to shrug and say, what? I'm too busy cheating on my taxes. What do you want me to do? Come on. And Maria Bartiromo then asked I think, salient question, a very pertinent question.
What number are you up to now? How much have you identified of the money he's taken in from foreign nationals?
We have more bank records coming in, but we're going to exceed 10 million this week, and I think we'll get up between 20 and 30 million dollars.
20 and 30 million dollars. Looking at 20, and we're up to 10 million this week, and I think we already know those numbers. 5 million for Joe Biden from the owner of the Ukrainian gas company known as Burisma, $5 million for Hunter Biden, and Hunter Biden and his friend Devin Archer were paid just shy of $1 million a year each to allegedly sit on the board of directors of Burisma, the Ukrainian oil company. Neither one of them, as far as we know, has ever been to Ukraine. They don't speak Ukrainian. They don't know anything about the natural gas industry. Yet the company was funneling millions and millions of dollars to the Bidens and their friends. And then Joe Biden made sure that the prosecutor that was investigating Burisma, corruption at Burisma, was fired and that the investigation was halted. Joe Biden made sure that was the case. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Quite amazing. And who's looking into it? Not the New York Times, not 60 Minutes, not the Washington Post, not CNN. Not a chance. All right, let's go to Eric Swalwell, who had and may still have an ongoing relationship with a Chinese intelligence operative, a honeypot, who goes by the name Fang Fang. And he's been asked repeatedly, did you have a long-term sexual relationship with her? And he walks away smirking, remembering the trampoline and the jars of honey, because Eric Swalwell was on MSDNC yesterday, and it's not as though they were interested in the Biden family corruption or anything like that. So the conversation sounded kind of like this.
The truth is, they have run this play before, right?
Swalwell.
Donald Trump got impeached because he tried to use taxpayer dollars to get dirt on Joe Biden, and it turns out there was no dirt on Joe Biden.
There's no dirt. Donald Trump called Ukraine. Those are the taxpayer dollars that long-distance call, and to ask about, because he had an inkling, and he's got great instincts, President Trump, and he called Ukraine and said, what can you tell me about Biden family corruption? And the Democrats impeached President Trump for that phone call. Remember that Alexander Vindman, the corrupt, should have been jailed, thrown in Leavenworth, and Democrat monkey-wrenching the system again. And he's a Ukrainian-American, Vindman. And he's got the twin brother, and they, on and on. But so here's Swalwell saying, but there was no dirt. I just played for you Congressman James Comey, the Oversight Committee, talking about the $10 million, maybe $20 or $30 million. It's Ukraine, it's Burisma. It's what President Trump made one phone call about that they impeached him for. And now we're finding out, once again, President Trump was almost psychic. And he knew there was something there. He made one phone call, and for that he was impeached. Joe Biden is taking in millions and millions of dollars, and his family's taking in millions of dollars. And any impeachment going on there? Nah. Here's Swalwell. He had to take a break from Fang Fang to answer the question on MSDNC.
I just think the Trump administration, or the Trump team doesn't know how to define Joe Biden, right? They want him to be Sleepy Joe and Corrupt Joe, and you can't be sleepy and corrupt, and the truth is he's neither, and it's just a lack of being able to define him because they fear him, so now they're going to threaten him.
They fear him because he's such a ferocious intellect, and honestly, is Barack Obama pulling the strings behind the sock puppet here? Looks like odds are pretty good that that's the case. Somebody is controlling Joe Biden, and it's not Joe Biden, and it's probably not Joe Biden. And he can't be sleepy and corrupt at the same time. No, he can absolutely be sleepy and corrupt at the same time. Who was the fluffer pretending to be a journalist on MSDNC there?
Nicole Wallace.
Oh, Nicole Wallace. She used to pretend to be a Republican. Now they pay her to be a left-wing lunatic and a fake journalist. Also, she has no background in journalism whatsoever. She was just a political operative and apparatchik. A little traffic. Low spark of the high-heeled boys. Come on. Maybe that was an early tell, low spark of the high-heeled boys. Then again, maybe not. Yeah, so the Democrats are like, hey, there's no corruption. And they're still, and again, they still say there was Russian collusion, right? And that there is no Biden family corruption. And there are still only 2 reporters asking questions about it of the President of the United States. There are about 40 reporters there. What are the rest of them doing?
Alleged affairs, relationships with
No.
Yum
Sir, you
Yum.
don't get to say that.
That's not
he had
true.
alleged relationships with
And
Yum Yum.
I asked the gentleman's words to be taken down.
Remember when Barack Obama bragged about eating dog meat? Remember that? Maybe you should call this professor in Pennsylvania. They got to have a dog summit at one of his oceanfront mansions where he's being oppressed because of our terrible racist society. Let's go to the telephones. Well, I've got Obama for you today. He spoke yesterday and said all kinds of crazy stuff. Everybody's a racist except him, of course. Either that or the opposite. Let's go to Cliff calling from King George, Virginia. Cliff, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Morning, Chris. How you doing?
I'm great, Cliff. What do you say?
Thank you for your voice of reason and your humor. Everything that you spoke of subject-wise this morning can be attributed to moral rot. The moral rot that is prevalent in this country. Our institutions, people keep saying our institutions are broken. The institutions are not broken. We got broken people in leadership roles. You know, just to give you one example, I'm not ashamed of saying I'm a Christian. We Christians have been duped into thinking that if we tolerated the LGBTQs and XYZs, I'm not a homophobe. I'm not afraid of any person that God created. But I get accused of being a homophobe if I say, you know, really, to a Christian, I really don't believe the word of God says that you should be doing that. Just like he told me I shouldn't be stealing when I was a thief. You hear what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay, so the chickens are coming home to roost with this gay pride stuff. We allow that to proliferate. We should love people that are different in the sense that LGBTQ people need protection under the law just like anybody else. It's kind of interesting that John Adams, in which a lot of people, they know the first part of what he said, our Constitution was made only for moral and religious people. Only for moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. You know, it's morality and virtue. That's the other part that a lot of people don't understand. Morality and virtue are the foundation of our republic and necessary for the society to be free. I would submit to you the moral rot is taking over. The chickens are coming home to roost.
I would add, Cliff, that apparently the chicken hawks are coming home to roost too. Am I right about that?
Amen, brother.
Amen. Cliff, great call. Thank you for checking in. God bless you. Have a great American weekend. You're right. You're correct about everything. And I'm grateful you called in.